When you hear a show tune from the Great White Way, does a shiver run through ya? Well, we're giving them to ya. Sing hallelujah and shout hooray. Come on along and listen to Broadway to Main Street. USA.
There's a bright golden haze on the meadow. There's a bright golden haze on the meadow. The corn is as high as an elephant's eye, and it looks like it's climbing clear up to the sky. Oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day. I got a beautiful feeling, and everything's going my way. All the cattle are standing like statues. All the cattle are standing like statues. They don't turn their heads when they see me ride by. But a little brown maverick is winking her eye. Oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day. I got a beautiful feeling. Everything's going my way. All the sounds of the earth are like music. All the sounds of the earth are like music. The breeze is so busy, don't miss a tree. And old weeping willow is laughing at me. Oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day. I got a beautiful feeling. Everything's going my way. Oh, what a beautiful day.
The groundbreaking voice of Alfred Drake at the very beginning of Oklahoma. Hello, this is Larry Maslon, your host for Broadway to Main Street here on 88.3 WLIW-FM, Long Island's only individual, one-of-a-kind, groundbreaking NPR station. Well, we all know that. We all know that's the beginning of Rodgers and Hammerstein's Oklahoma from 1943, and it's a classic, and it endures, and it set the standard. But at one point, people scratched their heads and said, they made that into a musical? And that is the theme of our show today, because yours truly, your host, Larry Maslon, has put together and is directing a production at the esteemed Westport Country Playhouse from July 18th to 20th, not very long, but don't miss it, a review called They Turned That Into a Musical. And it's interesting because that's where Westport Country Playhouse in Westport, Connecticut, is where Green Grow the Lilacs was produced in a revival in 1940. And someone called Dick Rogers, who lived in Fairfield, and said, why don't you go see it? And he went and saw it, and he said, maybe this could be a musical. And the rest, as they say, is history. Well, one of the things that people don't know is that that wonderful opening number was inspired by the stage directions to Lynn Riggs' original play, Green Grow the Lilacs. And Hammerstein said that he had been deeply impressed by Lynn Riggs' description at the start of the play, which goes, it is a radiant summer morning several years ago, the kind of morning which, enveloping the shapes of earth, men cattle in a meadow, blades of the young corn, streams, makes them seem to exist now for the first time. Their images giving off a visible golden emanation that is partly true and partly a trick of imagination. And of course, he said it would be a lot more fun to turn those into lyrics rather than hope that people read the stage direction. So that's Oklahoma. And that, of course, is what would kick off our review at Westport Country Playhouse. Well, one of the big challenges, which even Rodgers and Hammerstein felt they couldn't meet, was turning George Bernard Shaw's Pygmalion into a musical. And, of course, they did it Lerner and Loewe did it incredibly well against many odds. And some of the dialogue from Pygmalion is turned rather brilliantly into a song in the second act, when Eliza says, when Higgins says to Eliza, these rather moving things. He says, I have my own soul, my own spark of divine fire, but I shall miss you, Eliza. I have learned something from your idiotic notions. I confess that humbly and gratefully, and I've grown accustomed to your voice and appearance. I like them rather. And the song Without You, which happens in the second act, is very much an adaptation of a lot of what Shaw had written. So let us go to the original cast recording of that.
What a fool I was, what a dominated fool to think you were the earth and sky. What a fool I was, what an addle-pated fool, what a mutton-headed dolt was I. No, my reverberating friend, you are not the beginning and the end. There'll be spring every year without you. England still will be here without you. There'll be fruit on the tree and a shore by the sea. There'll be crumpets and tea without you. Art and music will thrive without you. Somehow Keats will survive without you. And there still will be rain on that plain down in Spain. Even that will remain without you. I can do Hartford, Hereford and Hampshire, they can still rule the land without you. Windsor Castle will stand without you. And without much ado, we can all muddle through without you. Without your pulling it, the tide comes in. Without your twirling it, the earth can spin. Without your pushing them, the clouds roll by. If they can do without you, ducky, so can I. I shall not feel alone without you. I can stand on my own without you. So go back in your shell, I can do bloody well without you.
The only thing I'll see forever, in my eyes, in my words, and in everything I do. Nothing else but you, ever. And there's nothing for me but Maria. Every sight that I see is Maria. Tony, Tony.
Always you, every thought I'll ever know. Everywhere I go, you'll be.
There's only you and me. Tonight, tonight, it all began tonight. I saw you and the world went away. Tonight, tonight, what was just a world is a star tonight.
With suns and moons all over the place. Tonight, tonight, the world is wild and bright, going mad, shooting sparks into space. Today, the world was just an address, a place for me to live in, no better than just the world is a star Good night. Good night. Sleep well, and when you dream, dream of me.
Well, West Side Story, we all know, is adapted from Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet rather brilliantly, book by Arthur Lawrence, score by Leonard Bernstein and Stephen Sondheim. But it was originally supposed to be called East Side Story, and about a Jewish girl and a Catholic boy on the Lower East Side during Passover and the Passover Easter season. And Arthur Lawrence got very excited until he realized that was kind of old hat. There had been Jewish Catholic boy-girl stories since the 19-teens. So a few years later, Leonard Bernstein said, there's this gang warfare in Los Angeles. And Lawrence said, I can't write that, but I can write New York. And the rest was history, West Side Story. That was not the cast album. That was Audra McDonald, who'll be appearing in a Lawrence Sondheim show, Gypsy in the Fall, and Mandy Patinkin. Well, it seemed that Sholem Aleichem's stories were very much part of, I would say, an intelligentsia knew them. Certainly Jews knew them, but it seemed very odd for a musical in 1961. And Sheldon Harnick said they sort of schlepped around to theater parties and everyone said it was too Jewish. And he said, it might be, but if we did it right, maybe we would have a special show that would run for a season or two. And of course, it was the longest running show of all time, Fiddler on the Roof. Here is the original cast.
I wonder if Yenta the matchmaker found a husband for you.
Oh, Yenta, Yenta, Yenta.
Well, somebody has to arrange the matches. Young people can't decide these things themselves.
She might bring someone wonderful.
Someone interesting.
And well off.
And important. Matchmaker, matchmaker, make me a match. Find me a find, catch me a catch. Matchmaker, matchmaker, look through your book and make me a perfect match.
Matchmaker, matchmaker, I'll bring the veil. You bring the groom, slender and pale. Bring me a ring, for I'm longing to be the envy of all I see.
For Papa, make him a scholar.
For Mama, make him rich as a king. For me, well, I wouldn't holler if he were as handsome as anything. Matchmaker, matchmaker, make me a match. Find me a find, catch me a catch.
when are you interested in a match, Chava? I thought you just had your eye on your books. And you have your eye on the rabbi's son.
Well, why not? We have only one rabbi. He has only one son. Why shouldn't I want the best?
Because you're a girl from a poor family. So whatever Yenta brings, you'll take. Right? Of course, right. Hoddle, oh hoddle, have I made a match for you? He's handsome, he's young, all right, he's 62, but he's a nice man, a good catch. True? True. I promise you'll be happy, and even if you're not, there's more to life than that. Don't ask me what. Chava, I found him. Will you be a lucky bride? He's handsome, he's tall, that is from side to side, but he's a nice man, a good catch, right? Right. You heard he has a temper, he'll beat you every night, but only when he's sober, so you're all right. Did you think you'd get a prince? Well, I do the best I can. With no dowry, no money, no family background, be glad you got a man.
Matchmaker, matchmaker, you know that I'm still very young. Please take your time.
Up to this minute, I misunderstood that I could get stuck for good. Dear Yenta, see that he's gentle. Remember, you were also a bride. It's not that I'm sentimental. It's just that I'm terrified. Matchmaker, matchmaker, plan me no plans. I'm in no rush. Maybe I've learned playing with matches, a girl can get burned. So bring me no ring, groom me no groom, find me no find, catch me no catch, unless he's a matchless match.
Lorna and Joe, somehow it sounds so right. Somehow you feel what I feel too. I wanna be with you. I wanna be with you. I wanna be with you. After all the nights of wanting you, lying there loving you, hating you, tonight I'm touching you, holding you. Well, you're gonna see, we'll make out somehow. Here's my girl and me. They can't hurt us now. We're gonna have it all. I'll love you every day. Lorna, life can be so great for us. Here's our chance. It's not too late for us. Grab it fast or life won't wait for us. I wanna be with you. I wanna be with you.
Make me wanna sing
And here I am, scared again, real again. I wanna be with you, stay with you every day. With you right on.
You're my love.
With you everywhere.
I will be so good to you.
With you
I still can't believe that's how it's gonna be. That's how it's gonna be, my loving girl and me. And we'll tell the world, make way for us. It's a sweet and golden day for us. Now the music starts to play for us. I wanna be with you. I wanna be with you.
Hillard Elkins was a Broadway producer who had this amazing idea to turn Clifford Odets' 1937 play, Depression-era play, Golden Boy, into a musical, but he felt the 30s was sort of maybe a little bit dated. It wasn't current anymore, and he thought if it had been updated to the 1960s, when the civil rights movement was very much in the news, and it was about a black fighter, because Cassius Clay was also in the news, it could be quite contemporary, hard-hitting, as it were. And he asked Sammy Davis if he were interested. And he said, interested, let's get started. And Golden Boy became, for my money, one of the most important shows of the 1960s. Well, if you had a musical about a very bright British guy and his roommate who served in India, and they lived in the turn of the century in the Marylebone district of London, you might say, yeah, well, they did that. Isn't that My Fair Lady? Well, yes, but it was also Baker Street, a musical adventure of Sherlock Holmes. And this was another one of these shows where they went, wow, they turned that into a musical? Not a big hit, but I think they did a good job with this particular opening number. Here is the score to Baker Street.
Sit down, my dear Captain Gregg. Or is it Lieutenant?
Captain? Lieutenant? What makes you think I'm in the army at all, for that matter?
Come, come. Your profession isn't hard to perceive. Your manner, your bearing, the very clothes you're wearing, that handkerchief tucked in your sleeve. A military custom, I believe? Of course you're an officer. Sandhurst. Am I right? And you're too young for a major, and so I should gauge you're a captain.
Well, I'll be...
Quite.
Sir, I'm amazed.
You show surprise, and yet the facts are there before your very eyes. And it's so simple, sublimely simple, if you learn not just to see, but to observe. Put your brain to work, not just the optic nerve. If you put your mind to use, you will find the most abstruse become so simple.
Oh yes, so simple, just as simple as a simple thing can be.
And it's hardly very hard to see he's in the palace guard.
Oh no, it's simple as ABC.
Now, wait a minute. How did you know I was in the palace guard?
So, my dear Captain, the line of your sunburn straight across your brow. No cap with a visor makes that mark, and I shall ask what type of headgear could possibly do that. A brimless bearskin hat. Now, who wears a busby? You answer that, and then all other suppositions you discard. Just guardsmen, and only when on duty in the palace yard.
Well, I'll be bound.
Does it astound? What other possible solution could be found? It's all so simple, absurdly simple. Why do people always fail to realize that it's not enough to merely use their eyes. They keep going round half blind, never using what's behind.
You see, it's simple.
Oh, yes, it's simple.
However difficult it might at first appear.
And it isn't hard to place, there's a woman in the case.
Oh no, it's simple, so very simple. It's as simple. Now, Holmes, look here. How on earth could you know that there's a woman involved in his case?
The same way I know that you sent off a telegram today. You did send a telegram.
Yes, but how?
Your problem is a woman?
Yes, but...
Now, my dear Watson, please examine the heel of your slipper. You'll note a trace of clay there, the color of a kipper. That hue is my clue, and it makes the case complete. For such clay is only found where they're digging up the ground at the doorway to the post office on Wigmore Street.
Oh.
And as for you, sir, as far as I can see, the reason for your nervousness can only be one of three. Either a mortal threat, or a very pressing debt, or the utterly inhuman machinations of a woman who is possibly toying at destroying your career. Is it she, or money, or terror brings you here? Now, from your bravery tonight, it would surely appear that if anything at all, it isn't violence you fear. And you gave that so-called beggar so much money that it's clearly the last alternative. And positive I am when I say, cherchez la femme.
Why, sir, you're right.
A child could do it.
Once you get the knack, there's really nothing to it.
Why, it's so simple, absurdly simple. It's as obvious as 2 and 2 make 4.
Rudimentary deduction, nothing more.
Though at first we were impressed,
We see now that at its best, it's all so simple.
It's more than simple. It's the very essence of simplicity.
no, we cannot disagree.
For as any fool can see,
It's all so simple.
Oh, yes, it's simple. Simple.
Easy.
Nothing. Basic. Child's play.
Plainly as evident as evidence can be.
It's elementary.
I live like a nun in a cloister, solitary celibate, I hate it.
I live like a monk in an abbey, ditto, ditto, I hate it.
Write to me with sentimental effusion. Let me revel in romantic illusion.
Do you still smell of vanilla and spring air? And is my favorite lover's pillar still firm and fair?
What was there, John? Still is there, John? Come soon as you can to my cloister. I've forgotten the feel of your hand.
Soon, madam, we shall walk in Cupid's grove together, and we'll fondly survey that promised land. Till then, I am as I ever was and ever shall be.
Well, when Sherman Edwards and Peter Stone turned the story of the American Revolution and the Declaration of Independence into a musical, a lot of people were sort of scratching their heads. They turned that into a musical. But one of the things they did rather brilliantly was to give it a lot of heart by looking at the letters of John and Abigail Adams and finding a way of putting that on stage rather brilliantly. I mean, at one point, Abigail says to John in one of her letters from 1775, I have been like a nun in a cloister ever since you went away. I have not been to any house other than my father's. My evenings are lonesome and melancholy. And John responds, I wish I could write you every day. The most agreeable time that I spend is in writing to you and conversing with you, and I welcome the day I can see you again. So that was Virginia Vestoff and William Daniels from the original cast. And these are the kind of things we are going to look at Westport Country Playhouse, July 18th through 20th. It's a show I've put together called They Turned That Into a Musical. And it is, you can go to westportplayhouse.org or 203-227-4177 and come in and join us. What a cast we have. And we know you love all these songs and these shows. Well, comic strips seem to be kind of natural for the American musical. There'd been Little Abner, and there'd been Superman, and there'd been Peanuts, Charlie Brown, and Martin Charnin had the idea of turning Little Orphan Annie into a musical. And he brought it to his friend Thomas Meehan, who went, ugh! And then he brought it to Charlie Strauss, who said, ugh! He said with one H less, because they thought it was going to be campy and silly, because it was the early 1970s. But they played it straight, and it became one of the biggest hits in Broadway history. Here is the original cast of Annie, Andrea McArdle and Reed Shelton.
Together at last,
Together forever,
we're tying a knot.
they never can sever.
I don't need sunshine now to turn my skies to blue. I don't need anything but you. You wrap me around that cute little finger. You've made life a song. You've made me the singer.
And what's that rhythm tune you always ba-ba-boo?
Ba-ba-ba, anything but you.
Yesterday was plain awful.
You can say that again.
Yesterday was plain awful.
But that's
Not now.
That's then.
I'm poor as a mouse.
I'm richer than Midas. But nothing on earth could ever divide us. And if tomorrow I'm an apple seller too, I don't need anything but you. Hamlet needed his mother.
Woolworth needed his shop.
Orville needed his brother. Or else
He'd go
kerplop.
You used to need work to fill every hour.
I needed to feel that feeling of power. Now every other need has disappeared from you. I don't need anything but you. I don't need anything. Anything. I don't need
White, a blank page or canvas. The challenge, bring order to the whole. Through design, composition, tension, balance, light, and harmony.
George. Why is it you always get to sit in the shade while I have to stand in the sun? Hello, George. There is someone in this dress. A trickle of sweat. The back of the head. He always does this. Now the foot is dead. Sunday in the park with George. One more. The collar is damp, beginning to pinch. The bustle slipping. I won't budge 1 inch. Who was at the zoo, George? Who was at the zoo? The monkeys and who, George? The monkeys and who?
Don't move.
Artists are bizarre, fixed, cold. That's you, George, you're fixed, cold. I like that in a man. Fixed, cold. God is hot out here. Well, there are worse things than staring at the water on a Sunday. There are worse things than staring at the water as you're posing for a picture being painted by your lover in the middle of the summer on an island in the river on a Sunday. The petticoat's wet, which adds to the weight. The sun is blinding. All right, concentrate.
Eyes open, please.
Sunday in the park with George.
Look out at the water, not at me.
Sunday in the park with George. Well, if you want bread and respect and attention, not to say connection, modeling's no profession. If you want instead, when you're dead, some more public and more permanent expression of affection, you want a painter, poet, sculptor, preferably marble, granite, bronze, durable, something nice with swans that's durable forever. All it has to be is good, and George, you're good. You're really good. George's stroke is tender. George's touch is pure. Your eyes, George. I love your eyes, George. I love your beard, George. I love your size, George. But most, George, of all. But most of all, I love your painting. I think I'm fainting. The tip of a stay, right under the tit. No, don't give in, just lift the arm a bit.
Don't lift the arm, please.
Sunday in the park with George.
Bustle high, please.
Not even a nod, as if I were trees. The ground could open, he would still say please. Never know with you, George. Who could know with you? The others I knew, George. Before we get through, I'll get to you too. God, I am so hard. Well, there are worse things than staring at the water on a Sunday. There are worse things than staring at the water as you're buzzing for a picture of the slipping on the ferry. I'm getting up and 7 to go over to an island in the middle of the river, half an hour from my
Well, that was another show that people sort of scratched their heads. How could you do a musical about a painting? And of course, that was Sunday in the Park with George. And Stephen Sondheim said he had teamed up with James Lapine. And for many, many different ideas they threw around. And Lapine threw out the idea of this painting, Sunday in La Grande Jatte. And they stared at it for hours and talked about the 50-odd people in the painting. And Lapine said, of course, the main character is missing. And Sondheim said, who's that? And Lapine said, the painter. And there you had it, Sunday in the Park with George. Well, one of the biggest novels, most important novels of all time was Victor Hugo's Les Miserables. And Alain Boublil, a French songwriter, one day was seeing Cameron Mackintosh's revival of Oliver. And he said, I know those characters. Those characters are like Gavroche in Les Mis and Jean Valjean and Javert. He said it was like a lightning bolt struck him in the chest. And he and Claude Michel Schoenberg spent 2 years condensing one of the biggest novels of all time into Les Miserables.
One day more, another day, another destiny, this never-ending road to Calvary. These men who seem to know my crime will surely come a second time, one day more.
I did not live until today. How can I live when we are parted?
One day more.
Tomorrow you'll be worlds away, and yet with you my world has started.
One more day on my own.
Will we ever meet again?
One more day with him not caring.
I was born to be with you.
What a life I might have known.
And I swear I will be true.
But he never saw me there.
One more day before the storm.
Do I follow where she goes?
At the barricade of freedom.
Shall I join my brothers there?
When our ranks begin to fall.
Do I stay and do I dare?
Will you take your place with me?
One day more.
One more day to revolution. We will nip it in the bud. We'll be ready for these schoolboys. They will wet themselves one day more.
Watch them run amok, catch them as they fall. Never know your luck when there's a free-for-all. Here a little dip, there a little touch. Most of them are gone, so they won't miss much.
One day to a new beginning. A brand of freedom. Every man will be a king. Every man will be a king. There's a new world for me. There's a new world to be won. Do you hear the people sing?
My place is here. I fight with you.
One day more. I will join these people's heroes. I will follow where they go. I will learn their little secrets. I will know that one day more. Watch them run away to catch them as they fall. There's a trick for them. We'll be ready for these schoolboys.
Tomorrow is the judgment day. Tomorrow we'll discover what our God in heaven has in store. One more dawn, one more day, one day
Mr. President, you asked to see me. I know you're busy. What do you need, sir? Sir, I want to give you a word of warning. Sir, I don't know what you heard, but whatever it is, Jefferson started it. Thomas Jefferson resigned this morning. You're kidding. I need a favor. Whatever you say, sir. Jefferson will pay for this behavior. Talk less. I'll use the press. I'll write under a pseudonym. You'll see what I can do to him. I need you to draft an address. Yes, he resigned. You can finally speak your mind. No, he's stepping down so he can run for president. Ha! Good luck defeating you, sir. I'm stepping down. I'm not running for president. I'm sorry, what? One last time. Relax, have a drink with me. One last time. Let's take a break tonight, and then we'll teach him how to say goodbye. To say goodbye, you and I. No, sir. I want to talk about neutrality. Sir, with Britain and France on the verge of war, is this the best time? I want to warn against partisan fighting. But pick up a pen, start writing. I want to talk about what I have learned, the hard-won wisdom I have earned. As far as the people are concerned, you have to serve. You could continue to serve. No, one last time, the people will hear from me. One last time, and if we get this right, we're gonna teach them how to say goodbye. You and I. Mr. President, they will say you're weak. No, they will see we're strong. Your position is so unique, so I'll use it to move them along. Why do you have to say goodbye? If I say goodbye, the nation learns to move on. It outlives me when I'm gone. Like the scripture says, everyone shall sit under their own vine and fig tree, and no one shall make them afraid. They'll be safe in the nation we've made. I want to sit under my own vine and fig tree, a moment alone in the shade, at home in this nation we've made. One last time. One last time. Though, in reviewing the incidents of my administration, I am unconscious of intentional error, I am nevertheless too sensible of my defects not to think it probable that I may have committed many errors. I shall also carry with me the hope that my country will view them with indulgence, and that after 45 years of my life dedicated to its service with an upright zeal, the faults of incompetent abilities will be consigned to oblivion, as I myself must soon be to the mansions of rest. I anticipate with pleasing expectation that retreat in which I promise myself to realize the sweet enjoyment of partaking in the midst of my fellow citizens, the benign influence of good laws under a free government, the ever-favorite object of my heart, and the happy reward, as I trust, of our mutual cares, labors, and dangers. One last time. George Washington's going home. Teach him how to say goodbye. George Washington's going home. You and I. George Washington's going home. Going home. George Washington's going home. History has its eyes on you, yeah. We're gonna teach them how to say goodbye. Teach them how to say goodbye. Say goodbye. Say goodbye. One last time.
Well, one of the most compelling adaptations of actual material, of course, in the last 20 years was Hamilton, Lin-Manuel Miranda. And here he drafts in Washington's actual farewell address, something that couldn't be more topical now. A great leader stepping aside for the benefit of his nation. Well, that is one of the many shows we're going to cover, and they made that a musical at the Westport Country Playhouse, July 18th through 20th. So you can get tickets, westportplayhouse.org. So come and join us. And like all great Broadway aspirants and producers, no matter how ridiculous the idea, no matter how outlandish the source material, no matter how uncompelling it seems to be, any good Broadway producer can say, we can do it. So here is Mel Brooks's show with Nathan Lane and Matthew Broderick to tell us how. See you next week, folks.
Don't you see, Bloom? Darling Bloom, glorious Bloom. It's so simple. Step 1, we find the worst play ever written. Step 2, we hire the worst director in town. Step 3, I raise $2 million.
2?
Yes, one for me, one for you. There's a lot of little old ladies out there. Step 4, we hire the worst actors in New York and open up Broadway. And before you can say step 5, we close on Broadway. Take our $2 million and go to Rio.
Rio? Nah, that'd never work.
Oh, ye of little faith. What did Lewis say to Clark when everything looked bleak? What did Sir Edmund say to Tenzing as they struggled toward Everest Peak? What did Washington say to his troops as they crossed the Delaware? I'm sure you're well aware.
What'd they say?
We can do it. We can do it. We can do it. Me and you. We can do it. We can do it. We can make our dreams come true. Everything you've ever wanted is just waiting to be had. Beautiful girls wearing nothing but pearls, caressing you, undressing you, and driving you mad. We can do it. We can do it. This is not the time to shirk. We can do it. You won't rue it. Say goodbye to petty clerk. Hi, producer. Yes, producer. I mean you, sir. Go berserk. We can do it. We can do it. And I know it's gonna work. What do you say, Bloom?
What do I say? Finally a chance to be a Broadway producer. What do I say? Finally a chance to make my dreams come true, sir. What do I say? What do I say? Here's what I say to you, sir. I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. That's not me. I'm a loser. I'm a coward. I'm a chicken. Don't you see? When it comes to wooing women, there's a few things that I lack. Beautiful girls wearing nothing but pearls, chasing me, embracing me, I'd have an attack.
Why, you miserable, cowardly, wretched little caterpillar. Don't you ever want to become a butterfly? Don't you want to spread your wings and flap your way to glory? We can do it.
Mr. Viola,
we can
stop
do it.
the song. You've got me
We
wrong.
can
I'll stay so
grab
long.
that
I'm not as strong a person
grail.
as you think.
We can do it.
Mr. Viola,
We
stop,
can
just take
do
a
it.
look. I'm not
Drink
a crook. I'm just a
champagne,
schnook. The
not
bottom line is
ginger
that I
ale.
stink.
Come on, Leo.
I can't
Can't you see,
do
oh?
it. You see Rio, I see Jay.
We can do it.
I can do it.